For these primary 1 pupils, it's mealtime after morning hours of taking lessons. The teacher took a break and the pupils fed themselves, some ate with the aid of the auntie. In private schools such as these, it is a daily break time routine. The kids bring along the meals from home prepared by their parents. That's because the parents can afford it. For many of their peers around the FCT, as in the rest of Nigeria, that's a luxury far out of reach. In a country where over 63%, some 133.4 million citizens of the over 200 million population are officially documented as stricken by multi-dimensional poverty, many stay out of school. That was a figure brought out by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) in 2022. Millions of kids never start, and where they do, several can't continue to completion. Thus, when in 2016, the federal government muted the idea and eventually began to feed Nigerian school children, it all seemed to be well and good. The policy was to provide 1 free nutritious meal to pupils in primary 1 to 3 in public schools and pupils in the alternate school program ASP.
This commencement of the school feeding program is sequel to a March 29, 2020 presidential pronouncement directing the continuation of the school feeding program. This is a globally accepted means of supporting children to continue to have access to nutrient-rich foods despite disruptions to traditional channels of school feeding.
1 meal per school day to all primary school pupils seems such a great idea. If for nothing, 1 nutritionally adequate meal each school day to primary school pupils meant improving the health of school-age children while also serving the objective of increasing enrollment, retention, and completion rates in the country.
Ẹ̀kọ́ ní ìpìlẹ̀ ìdàgbàsókè gbogbo àwùjọ. Ipò wo ni àwọn alákòóso FCT gbé ètò ẹ̀kọ́ sí gan? Èló ni owó tí wọ́n yà sọ́tọ̀ fún nínú ètò ìṣúná? Báwo ni wọ́n ṣe ná owó tí wọ́n yà sọ́tọ̀ fún? Kí ni ìgbéléwọ̀n àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́, olùkọ́ni àti àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gboyè tí àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga wa ń pèsè gan? Fún àwọn ìdáhùn lóríṣiríṣi, darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ètò Leaves and Worms, ètò akọ́nilọ́gbọ́n àti ìlanilọ́yẹ tí yóò máa wáyé sí ojú ìwòran yín ní ọ̀sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ lórí ẹ̀rọ móhùnmáwòrán AD4 TV Radio, Wọlé Ṣóyínká Center for Investigative Journalism pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn MacArthur Foundation ló ṣe onígbọ̀wọ́ rẹ̀. Ẹ má pàdánù rẹ̀ o.
The National Homegrown School Feeding Program was handled under the National Social Investment Program of the Nigerian government, regarded perhaps the most elaborate and ambitious on the African continent. According to available government documents, the intent was to establish a safety net for the poor, increase enrollment, and eradicate malnutrition in school-age children, while also stimulating the national agricultural economy. However, over 9 years down the line, the program, though ongoing, is faced with serious allegations that it is flawed, with inadequacies seen in some quarters as another funnel for corruption scheme.
That again, it seems to be a funnel where people siphon funds.
Currently, government says feeding is going on in over 56,000 schools for 9.9 million pupils in 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Also, Government claims that over 127,000 food vendors, that is cooks and 100 aggregators, have been engaged preparing the meals. Another 200,000 smallholder farmers who are supplying locally sourced ingredients to improve the nutrition and quality of meals of the children are said to be part of the value chain of the scheme. Countrywide, officials say 8.4 million eggs are consumed weekly, in addition to 94 metric tons of fish. Initially, government voted 70 naira per meal per child in a 20 days feeding cycle. According to available records, as of February 2022, the federal government increased the school feeding cost to 100 naira per child per day, bringing the bill to 1 billion naira daily. The school feeding program officially started in February 2022 when it was launched in Cairo within the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC.
Beginning today in Abuja, this program will target parents and guardians of children in primary 1 to 3 in public primary schools. I'm therefore here to carry out a spot and check, bear witness, while the FCT authority will be here to implement this program.
The school feeding program in the FCT is targeted at 120,300 pupils drawn from 626 public primary schools across the 6 area councils of the territory, namely Buari, Kuje, Abaji, Karshi, Gwagwalada, and Abuja Municipal Area Council. In some of the schools, built-up facilities have been provided to serve as canteens or eating bays. FCT authorities say 12.5 million naira is spent daily on the program. At the ceremonial flag-off of the school feeding program in the FCT, some food items were given a handful of parents. It was the last time such outing occurred. That was over 3 years ago, prompting the view in some quarters that it was just for the optics of media cameras.
Ilimi shine ginshikin ci gaban kowace irin al'umma. Wane irin kima ne hukumar gudanarwa na birnin tarayya ta baiwa ilimi? Kasafin nawa ne aka ware wa bangaren ilimi? Ta yaya ake amfani da waɗannan kuɗaɗen da aka ware wa ilimi? Menene matsayin ingancin malamai da ɗalibai da waɗanda suka kammala manyan makarantu da kuma su kansu makarantun da ake gudanar da harkokin koyo da koyarwa? Domin samun amsoshi, kasance tare da Leaves and Worms a cikin shirin baje koli da faɗakarwa wanda ake gabatarwa a kowane mako a tashar AD4 TV Radio, wanda cibiyar Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism tare da haɗin gwiwar gidauniyar MacArthur Foundation suka ɗauki nauyi.
Abdullahi Saleh, FCT coordinator of the Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All, has been tracking the implementation of the school feeding program in the territory. He shares insight into some of his field encounters.
Because of the humongous problems, the poverty level in the country and whatever, they came up with the most ambitious programs to alleviate that. That's good. It's good, but it's also sustainable. You cannot keep alleviating poverty by giving somebody a spoon of rice or a cup of rice, or, you know, we've left the key, the main things, the main problem, you know. So I think in the first instance, yes, people need to survive, and then you think of a long-term strategy, a long-term plan, which I believe is lacking.
Government officials are quick to speak in defense of the program, insisting it is running well on course and is achieving the target and goal as designed.
Based on because I've been going, because there are students, primary, especially primary 3. Primary 3 at least, they actually feeding very well, and some communities where the parents, the community are supportive. They both primary 1 to 3, I think they will take care of. We're only making case for primary 4 to 6. But because of budgetary provision, there are other things that federal government has to do. That's why I think they've restricted themselves to between primary 1 to 3 first. But certainly, and I know some communities or some parents, they find it difficult to give their wards qualitative food. And this school feeding is one of the aspects that stimulates students or people's interest to ensure they go to school very early in the morning. And it's also help in reducing incidence of out-of-school children. So in the FCT, I think it's one of the area, one of the, I can't because it's state, it's one of the territory that is serving as a standard for other states to emulate what we are doing as far as school feeding is concerned.
FCT focal person Mrs. Chumwendu Amba says, and I quote, "So far, the territory is recording more enrollment of children in schools now as a result of the program. From feeding 81,000 plus children, the program grew to providing for a total of 125,000 plus children." End of quote. These school children were seen buying food from a roadside akara seller. Although the program was designed to feed pupils in classes 1 to 3 daily, these pupils said they have not seen those being given food in the school they attend.
Do you know of any school or maybe your friends, your school where they get food?
This man assists his wife every morning to cook, fry and serve meals wrapped in paper for pupils as they trek along and stop by to buy what to eat in school. He says this is a regular chore.
As soon as we open the market, we start. That's how they go. As they are passing, they show us. Some they will say akara, some they will say akam.
In the morning?
In the morning.
How many of them come, like in a day?
I can't even number them. There are plenty. Some you will see they'll come 5 in group. They'll sit down here. Some they'll come 5 in group. They'll sit down here, buy it before they move to the class.
A major indicator that the school feeding arrangement is witnessing noticeable gaps affecting food delivering on the goal of pulling kids, especially those from poor homes, into schools and keeping them there in the FCT, is that the territory is still grappling with several children out of school, particularly in the inner recesses of rural FCT. It is alleged that the school feeding program has turned into a window to dispense political patronage to political loyalists who suddenly become food vendors and those called aggregators. Food supply contracts are allegedly given to political proxies who then sublet to persons connected to them among partisan women caucuses instead of sourcing the procurement from immediate communities as originally designed. Accordingly, there's concern in some circles that the spin-off goal of providing jobs for itinerant women through the school feeding program is skewed against those without the right political alliance. Similarly, the controversies are set to trail funds disbursement and purported payment of the approved additional 30 naira to the 70 naira feeding cost per pupil. Another pressing challenge is how to maneuver the 100 naira per child per school and guarantee adequate nutritional quality of the meals given to the pupils.
What are the best and most nutritious parts of our diets that are available, that we can make sure that whatever the money that is available, that we provide nutritious diet.
Complaints from stakeholders in the scheme, particularly the food vendors, over money and menu given to them have also been thrown up as some of the issues affecting the program. The worries raised come amidst hyperinflationary trend of food items and condiments in the market. The persistence of these concerns triggered an interactive dialogue between operators of the scheme and the stakeholders.
To implement the procedures of deploying the extra 30 naira in the effective feeding of school children, it is absolutely necessary to consult with all stakeholders. So here, we have the consultations going on, we have non-governmental organizations, we have our partner MDAs, we have state government focal persons, we have program managers, and we have produce association leaders. We are now discussing very, very broadly to now resolve on exactly how to deploy their 100 naira to.
As at the time of this report, all public primary schools, the only targets of the school feeding scheme, were shut due to a strike action by teachers right at the onset of the 2023 to 2024 academic session. The teachers are protesting the non-payment of the arrears of their allowances due since January 2023. Accordingly, all school feeding facilities bear no aroma of food of any kind. They are just empty holes gathering dust.
Education is the bedrock for the development of every society. What premium does the Nigerian government place on education? How much is budgeted for? How well are these funds utilized? What quality of teachers, students, and graduates are learning institutions churning out? For answers, join us on Leaves and Worms, an expository and incisive program showing every week on AD4 TV Radio and supported by Wale Soyinka Center for Journalism, sponsored by MacArthur Foundation. Don't miss it.
While the strike is on, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, under whose purview the school feeding program is coordinated, announced new appointees to handle it. The change came shortly after a new minister appointed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Dr. Betta Edu, assumed office. Immediate past Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, had been in the eye of the storm over sharp public dissatisfaction with her claims that a sum of 800 million naira had been spent on the school feeding program in the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, when all pupils across the country were not in school. How were the children fed, and where? Many had asked.
What we are hearing happened during the past with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, cash transfers and whatever, is something that sends a serious worry down our spines, because a lot of corruption, poor people that are supposed to benefit have been deprived of it.
That scenario did substantial damage to public perception and confidence in the scheme. Whether or not the change at the coordinating level would put more tonic to the school feeding program within the FCT public primary schools is yet a thing to interrogate, but with cautious expectations that the scheme will achieve set goals and objectives.
We see palliatives going towards survival feeding, rice, but we've not heard anything about education yet. So we're waiting to see in the coming days what government will say and do with regard to education.
ọmụmụ bụ isi mbido mmepe n'ala ọbụla. Olee ọkwa ndị ọchịchị Federal Capital Territory Nigeria yọrọ ọmụmụ? Olee ihe nkwado a na-enye ya? Kedu otu esi iji nkwado niile ahụ eme ihe? Ụdị ndị nkụzi ole, ụmụ akwụkwọ na ndị gụchara n'akwụkwọ ka ha na-atụpụta n'ebe ọmụmụ ala anyị? Iji nweta nwanye ọsịsa ajụjụ ndị a, soronye anyị n'emume Leaves and Worms, ebe a na-akọwapụta ma kọwamie ihe n'izu ụka ọbụla na mgbakọ ndị AD4 TV Radio nke onye ọkammụta Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism ma nwekwa nkwado ndị otu MacArthur Foundation. Ohere a agafekwala gị.
AD4 TV Radio, with focus on education with emphasis on research and innovation, science and technology, women and girl child education, children, health, youth and sports, socio-political and economic reforms, security, environment, entrepreneurship, and entertainment. Will give you information at your fingertips. Learn on the go. Follow AD4 TV Radio on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. AD4 TV Radio, reliable and credible.
We love you, G4 TV Radio.